Legends of Tomorrow Season 3, Episode 10, Daddy Darkest. So, of course, this is the mid-season premiere. We have Constantine back, which is super awesome. Unfortunately, it was just one episode. I really thought they were like, here he is, here's Constantine for like the rest of the season. Considering they are dealing with Mallus, odds are he should make a return. I mean, he's, the demon hunter, accomplished warlock, as he put it. So, I like to think he'll show up, if not like in the actual season finale, maybe, an episode or two beforehand leading into like, the crazy thing. He'll, get some information and come back later. But it was cool to see him in there. The whole thing was actually a pretty cool episode. We got to see what happened with Nora, which I like the way they kind of handled that, where they find her when she's young, and then by the end of the episode, that's when Damien Darhk comes in, which is kind of weird why, the title of the episode has him in it, where he literally only shows up at like the end of the episode. It's kind of weird that was the way they did it. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like they have the characters split up through different, time periods, so they don't know where the heck anybody is. They're still using that same freaking set that they've been using since like Smallville. Like as soon as the episode started and they went in there, I was like, is this the same set? And it is. It's the same set that we've seen in Smallville. It's been in Arrow, it's been in Supergirl, and now it's been in Legends. I don't know where that lot is or why they use it so much, but it's so easy to recognize. Like it's just like, I mean, you think it would just look like any other stairs, but it's like every time I see it now, it's like, well, that's that set. So there you go. Like they've used it in another DC show, but it was pretty cool. Legends go in. It's like, all right, well, we got this crazy situation. We got Constantine, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that is Damien Darhk's daughter. Mallus has taken her over, and then crazy spell goes off, and we have Constantine, Sara, and Earth 2, Captain Cold, all sent back in time. So it's like, all right, they're sent back in time. No one knows where they've been sent back to, so they don't really know how to find them. So they have to find their way to get back to the future, which I'm surprised they didn't make a joke like that, unless I missed it. But they're kind of trapped in the past. We see Constantine and Sara hook up. They reference it, but I've never known it to be the case. Not from, I don't know Constantine that well as a character, but I've never known him to be a bisexual character. But it seemed like, he was kind of hitting on Snart a little bit in the beginning. And I was like, I never, typically he typically does end up hitting on the woman a bunch. So it was kind of interesting. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen him actually hit on guys before. So I was like, oh, that's interesting because I've never seen him do that. So I was like, all right, don't know if that's the case. If anyone would be bisexual, it would definitely be Constantine. Like he's the type of dude where it's like, oh, yeah, I can see that. He's the whatever type of guy. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like I said, never really seen him like hit on guys before. So I was like, I don't know if he's bisexual or not, but at least this version of him definitely is, or it seems to be at least. So Constantine and Sara end up hooking up. Eventually, of course, they solve all their problems and get back to the future. But while they're dealing with that, you have our present day team dealing with two separate issues, one of which being the same issue of time travel, and the team, half the team being, or three members being thrown back in time. So it's like, all right, well, we have to figure out how to find out where they are. We also have to save Nora because she's still being possessed, and she's having like these little spurts where Mallus is able to take control a little bit. And then we have our sort of Vixen bloodline storyline going on as well. And it's like, well, I don't know what to expect from that. Like, it was like, okay, of course you have this thing where it's this woman who knows that she's going to be one of the main villain's grandmothers. Like that's what she is. She knows she has to get to this point. She's not going to kill her granddaughter, but it's like, how do I make this work? How do I turn this evil person good? So going through that storyline, we have Nate and Amaya, kind of just going back and forth, like, you shouldn't talk to her. Kuasa, she's the villain, so that's just how it is. And I kind of like the way it was handled because they were, they're inching a little bit closer to some sort of resolution. We don't really know what it is, but it's like, they talk about prophecies, and it was like, I thought this person was talking about Mari, but she may have been talking about you, which whenever there's a prophecy, that means you kind of have to be the good guy to do it. And Kuasa has already died once. She's already done that hero sacrifice, so it wouldn't be that crazy if she were to do it again. It would be a little weird just because she literally died doing, the hero sacrifice deal. But I don't know. It's like, okay, that is interesting. We'll see how this plays out. But Nate almost died. They almost did like the weird drowning through the nose thing. But it was just interesting. I was like, I don't know where this is headed for these two characters, but I don't know. I mean, is Kuasa going to turn on the villains? Once again, I don't know if they'll... I mean, well, it almost doesn't matter because obviously not a lot of people watch the Vixen animated thing, so it's not like people are going to be like, man, she died again, same sacrifice. I know that, and like, 10 other people probably watched it. But for most people, it'll probably be the first time they see her do that. So I don't know if they'll go that route. I would hope not, just because of the fact that, yeah, obviously it's tied in, even though they already screwed that up, like in the first introduction when they didn't have Ray, remember who she was like he should have. Um, but still, I'm curious where that's headed, if she's going to somehow turn good. I'm curious what we're going to find out. Of course, like, my main thing still with that whole storyline is just like, is she going to go back? Or, like, is she going back to Africa? Or are they going to find some way to like keep it there? And it was, I don't know, like that's still just in my head where I'm like, what are they gonna do with that? Like, they could do it where, the obvious answer is that Nate could totally go with her, and maybe just something happened to him. Like, we don't really know. There's a lot of stuff that's already been set up, like Ray being a knight or whatever. We still haven't seen that come back yet, so something's going on there. But there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. So I'm still super curious about that storyline. But I like the way everything was kind of handled in this one. We got some fairly decent action, I would say. Mostly spell based and people just being flung around. But I was like, yeah, it's still kind of cool. Jitters is always being absolutely decimated. That's just like the normal thing. But it was cool. I liked it. It was a lot of it reminded me a lot of Supernatural. For people who don't watch it, it's basically every time a demon has powers or whatever, they just flick people. It's just telekinesis pretty much. So it was just like that the whole episode. But really enjoyed it. Of course, they dropped another giant storyline hint. And I totally cannot remember her name. But the newest member of the team, who has the wind amulet. I want to say Osiris is like her hero name. She touches Mallus when he's in Nora's body, and it's like, oh, you're one of the six. So they talk about how that most likely is tied to the totems. So that should be interesting, because I'm curious if that's what it really is, because they just assumed it was like, oh, well, you have this totem, I have this one, and then I know of these, but that only makes 5. It could just be totally random, because it's comic books. It could just be that there's 6 random people, and it has nothing to do with the totems. It could legitimately just be her character. So they don't technically say one way or another, but of course Amaya's like, well, naturally it just makes sense to go with, oh, it's probably the amulet. But they kind of talk about that even at the end with Constantine, where it's like, this anti-magic gun, you might want to keep it on you. It's like, yeah, I said the totems were probably it, but who the F knows? Like, we don't really know what's happening. So it could be the totems and there's another secret totem out there, or it could legitimately just be 6 random people, which we've probably already seen all 6, that sort of thing. Maybe missing like 1 or 2. That's, once again, comic book shows. But I'm excited for it. I think where they're headed with this, like, this episode was a good comeback. Of course, Constantine being in it was super awesome. Sucked to see him go at the end. Snart also leaves at the end of the episode, so that kind of sucked. But, I was curious how long he was going to stay on anyway. But he's headed out. Constantine's headed out, of course. I'm sure we'll see him come back. I love the ending when he leaves and Ray is just like, that guy's so cool. And it's like, yeah, that's Constantine. So I like the way they did that. But dropped a couple of cool hints. The Amaya storyline and what's going to happen with her and Kuasa. The whole 6 thing, whoever these people are, or if it's related to the amulets specifically. So looking forward to whatever answers we should get there. Rip has apparently just escaped, so he's just off doing this thing again. Everybody assumes that he's insane and Mallus doesn't really exist, and for whatever reason they didn't believe Ava, and like, I don't know how many different agents were actually there during that situation, but for whatever reason it was just like, nah, throw him in prison, he's totally insane. Mallus isn't that big of a threat. So I don't know what the heck that means for Rip and what we're going to see from the rest of the crew. But next week's episode is them in a time loop, so I don't know how much that will really matter. Apparently, they were trying to go to the 70s because they were doing disco, or I guess it would be 80s. Mid to late 70s, early 80s. So they were trying to do something during that time, and for whatever reason, they just got caught in a time loop. So who knows what we're going to see next week. This will most likely, for anyone who hasn't, I say this all the time for all my shows coming back, but for anyone who didn't check out that old video I did, I'm pretty sure it was like at the end of last year, I'm doing like shorter reviews now, so it's only going to be, from this point, the next review is not going to be until the actual season finale for the show, because I got like 2 jobs now and everything's super busy. That's why I'm like barely ever uploading anything. I have like Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and then the weekends. And even that is me editing the podcast Tuesday and Thursday. And then after that, I get to do everything else. So don't really have a ton of time in general. But I don't know. I may or may not continue with Legends. It really depends. Because I do like Legends a lot as far as like the DC shows go. It's definitely one of my favorites, just because I think it works so well with how they have a million characters. But I always felt like they did it right. So I might keep this one just because it's easy for speculation, and I get to theorize about like a dozen, half, over a half dozen characters and what's going to happen in like a million different storylines. So I might keep this one, but for now, odds are this will be my last review until the season finale. But I really enjoyed this one. Of course, I'll be, kind of going through. If something insane happens where I'm just like, I gotta talk about this, I'll probably do a little video or something like that. It won't be a full review, but I'll do a video. But I don't know, probably won't. For anyone who's been keeping up with Agents of Shield, that show has been nuts. The past like 3 or 4 episodes, I was like fighting myself trying not to do reviews. Like it was so simple, I could have just done it, but I was like, I gotta stick to not doing so many reviews. But that's been insane, and I haven't touched on that, so I don't know if Legends is gonna even get close to that. But I do know we're close to the end because iZombie's coming back soon, and that's coming back in like 2 weeks almost. Unless something's ending, I don't know what it is, or maybe they're gonna switch days. But like iZombie comes back by the end of the month, and that's supposed to be Monday. So either Supergirl is about to end super quick or move to a different day, or Legends of Tomorrow is about to end super quick, or they're gonna move it back to where it was, which I believe was Wednesday, because nothing currently, at least, is coming on a Wednesday for me as far as CW goes. So it might move back to Wednesday, and they kind of do their 4-day thing again, going with Supergirl, Flash, Legends, and then Arrow last. So that might be what they're gonna end up doing. I don't really know, but either way, I'm gonna be looking forward to it. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and I would love to know your theories on who the 6 people or what the 6 totems are. Like if it's related to people, who you think they might be, if you have any ideas based on Osiris as a character, Maya, of course, the different versions of Vixen, because it could be Kuasa with her totem, it could be Kuasa in general, people who have experienced death in like such an insane way or have died in crazy ways. It could be stuff like that, just near death experiences, either, or full on magical death experiences. So we don't really know right now. It's kind of just up in the air with speculation, but I would love to know yours, how you guys think that's going to play out, who these people are, how they're going to get them, where they might be, because that could be what the next episode is about, is them finding one of the 6. They just get a random lead, but it could also be about them looking for Rip. But I want to know your theories, and like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.